Hollie's Hotspurs, welcome back. Talking Tottenham every week, no better place to be sat. If it's a win, lose, draw, we'll be here for a chat. Best believe we tackle topics like Romero in the back. Young Min Son, what can go wrong when he's on form? It's a dream come true, so sit back, relax and vibe with us. Special guests every time here to discuss. Bring your passion, come along for the ride, and don't forget to subscribe, cause...
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live, where tonight I think we're bringing back the therapy session, obviously after that loss at home to Chelsea where we lost 3-4. But with me tonight to dissect it all and more, I'm joined by two fabulous guests. I'm going to start with the man that wrote the intro for Hollie's Hotspurs. So Formz, it's amazing to have you back on the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me back. I feel like it's been an eternity, and what a bloody game to do it in. I'm good. Oh, I was good, and then I wasn't good, and now I'm kind of good again and ready for the therapy session. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Like I say, it's good to have you on. Just disappointed it's the way it was with the game, but hey ho, it means there's lots to talk about. We're also joined by Jay. Jay, I think I might calling you my seasonal resident at the moment.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I seem to be coming on, and the last couple of times have been good ones. I've been able to talk about happy things, but having an absolute misery compiler of a weekend when it comes to sport. I thought Spurs losing was bad, but watching the Vikings with you was something else, and it just made my weekend even worse. So yeah, let's go with it.
I was going to say that's the only thing that brightened me up. Obviously, being able to griddy across the living room floor every time Jefferson scored a touchdown. So, but no, let's get back to Spurs. Like I say, it's great to have everybody in here. Welcome all. Obviously, this show is sponsored by the Tabletop. Like I say, it's just before Christmas. Go check them out. See if you can get a board game for the family, or like me and Jay, some Pokemon cards because they stock it all. So make sure you go check them out. But let's start with the game. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to get your overall thoughts and Formz. I'm going to come to you first because obviously I wasn't really looking forward to this game, and it proved out that it was going to be right, that I didn't enjoy it. So how did you make of the game?
I mean, it was like the definition of being a Spurs fan is a roller coaster of emotions. It's a social experiment. That 90 minutes just encapsulated all of it. Like, first one went in. I was at my sister's house. First one went in, took my top off, swung it round. Yes. Second one went in, took my top off, swung it round, threw it, and it landed wherever it landed. I went nuts. I was like, "We won it! We're so back!" And then it went 2-1, and I went, "Ah, here we go." And I'm just was look. We played well until we didn't, and then we didn't do anything about it, and that seems to be the theme of the season. It's like, hey, okay, maybe next time. That's it. That's all I got to say.
It is definitely Spurs in a nutshell. I think that's the thing because, Jay, how did you kind of find the game? Because I had a bit of false hope, so to speak, when I saw the lineup and I saw Romero, Mickey van der Ven were back, and I was like, actually, we might be all right.
I think that was it. It was that roller coaster of, we were all expecting to go in with Archie Gray and Dragusin against Chelsea, who look absolutely on fire, predicting 5-0 smashing at home or something horrific. And then all of a sudden, the medical team have pulled off an absolute wizardry we thought at the time when the lineup came out, and managed to rush Van der Ven and Romero back, which, brightened up everyone's hopes. And then, kind of like Formz said, after 10 minutes, you're thinking to yourself, oh, mate, kill this game. We're done. We're out of here. And as soon as that goal went in, it's that classic thing of never go too early in a football group chat, which I've learned over the years is, you never go too early. And a lot of my family members are Chelsea, and there was a lot of, I wanted to, but you just can't go early, especially when you support Spurs. And when that goal went in, I knew, and when Romero went down, I knew something weren't right. And just, worst fears.
It's just really disappointing because obviously we'll stick with Romero Formz. We'll get onto the 2 goals we scored in a minute. But obviously it seems like they were both rushed back to fitness, both Romero and Mickey van der Ven. What do you kind of make of it? Do you think Ange was under a lot of pressure to be like, I need these boys in the squad. They're nearly fit. Let's try and roll with it. And what do you kind of think was the kind of reasoning behind it?
I mean, look, they wouldn't have played if they weren't ready to play. There would have been somebody screaming, going, "These boys cannot play football. That he's got a dodgy foot, and the other one's hamstring will snap on minute 2." Like they were obviously fit enough to play 90 minutes, probably not, But I mean, Postecoglou's been saying in the past few press conferences that Romero could potentially be fit, and if not, then he'll be fit around Monday, Tuesday time. So I wasn't really surprised. It was Van de Ven that he kept hella quiet, to the point where in the group chat, the boys were like, all right, let's play hamstring bingo. Like, what minute is it going to pull up? But with Romero, it was good. It was really nice to see him back, because I think that first 15 before he went down was like one of his best cameos I think I've seen from him in a long time. And that kind of gave, it all starts from the back. We know we play out from the back, but that kind of gave us the energy that we needed, the momentum we needed to push on, and we scored the 2 goals. And as soon as he went off, I feel like that's what killed the momentum. And then you concede as soon as Dragusin comes on, and that can't be good for Dragusin's confidence. Then it's like, okay, now where do we go from here?
No, definitely. I think that was the thing as well, because obviously Jay, as we know, Angie's had a lot of criticism in recent weeks, this, that, and the other. I think my only thing, I mean, there's 2 things, but we'll start with this one. I think my only thing with him was obviously when we were 2-0 up, lost Romero, it was still, we're going to play the Ange way, we're still going to go gun-ho. And it was almost like, Ange, you need a bit of nous to kind of change it there.
I don't know. I think it would have been, I'm going to politely disagree there. I think it would have been way too early to do that early on in the game. The game's not done then. You know, we don't need to shut up shop. We don't need to be defensive. You know, we were 2-0 up after 11 minutes. You know, you can't shut up shop for 90 minutes. We have had managers in the past that have done that. If you look at Conte and Mourinho, you know, we'd go 1-2-0 up, and then we'd sit behind the ball for the whole game, and then end up losing at the end and conceding 3 goals in 10 minutes or something crazy. But I did feel a little bit sorry for Dragusin, only because, you know, if there was any hint of doubt in Romero or Van de Ven, I don't think he's been playing badly enough to not stay in the team, and he's going to be match ready as well. You know, the only argument to that would be, obviously, it's a good chance to give him a rest, and he's probably more than likely going to start against Rangers on Thursday. But I agree that Romero, it just looked like the confidence sucked out of the team. But I think that was what we talked about, the elation that we had when we saw that starting 11. Maybe that crept into the team as well. I think, right, we're back, we've got our full team, we can challenge one of the best teams in the Premier League at the minute. And then, you know, Romero's injured, and it's like, okay, now this has gone wrong. Oh wait, and now Chelsea have scored a goal out of absolutely nothing. I remember I didn't even know they'd scored, because I wasn't expecting to see a goal. I was just eating dinner, and then it was like, oh, it's a goal, and we're like, oh. Like, do you know what I mean? It was like no one expected it. But yeah, it's just, I don't think that early on Ange did anything wrong. I don't think he needed to change anything then. You know, maybe game management towards the end, maybe, but at that stage, I don't think he did anything wrong.
No, it's a fair comment. Like you say, 11 minutes into the game, like you'd hope that there wasn't going to be that goal come out of nowhere, and it did. Again, I don't think there was a lot we could have done, maybe closing down a little bit sooner, but Forster had no chance. It was a great well shot from Sancho. But we'll go back to our goals, because that was also a shock for us. I've kind of done this in reverse, but it was amazing to see not one slip, but 2 slips from a Chelsea player. And from those 2 slips, obviously, we managed to score 2 goals. I mean, the first one, 5 minutes, Johnson in behind, ball across to Solanke, and boom, in the back of the net. What did you kind of make of the first one?
That's what we do. It's what we do. I watch before every game, home and away. Whenever I go, I watch the same routine that the attackers play, and it's wide man takes the ball, puts an early ball in, bang, goal. Well, sometimes they score, sometimes they don't. And I watched it before the Bournemouth game, because I was there, and that was a nightmare. And we watched it and we went, why are they doing this? It never works. And then when I saw it against Chelsea, I went, oh, okay, well, that's what that's meant to look like. And Solanke was in the perfect position, got himself in front of the defender. The finish was class. And it's never usually Tottenham that capitalise on other teams' mistakes. If a team makes a mistake, it's like, oh, cool, someone's got the ball. We drive it forward. Oh, the other team have got the ball again. Sick. And it's usually us that make the mistakes, other teams capitalise, and they score 9 times out of 10. So it was nice to not only see it once, but twice. That first goal was lovely. That was nice Tottenham attacking third football.
I was going to say, because it was the first 5 minutes as well, which made it even better. And then obviously in the 11 minutes, Jay, a slip happened again. And this time it's Decky, that man that's been an absolute beast so far this season.
Well, Ange said before the game that we were going to give, the players were going to give the fans something to cheer about and show that they, you know, wanted to react from the Bournemouth defeat. And They did, and with the Solanke goal and the Kulusevski goal, both goals came from, I think, determination and a little bit of anger. You know, Solanke wanted to get to that ball and he threw himself at it, which all good strikers do. But that, that act of someone that wanted to score and knew he needed to score. And the same with Kulusevski. We see his I call them angry runs. We see his angry runs all the time, and you see it in American football as well. A lot of running backs, players will just bounce off them. And that's exactly what happens with Kulusevski. Kulusevski will run angry. And he did that. He ran across that box. And they said in commentary, oh, well, you know what he's going to do. You know what he's going to do. He's going to run across and then cut and then, shoot. It's like, yeah, but Saka does the same. I hate to say it, but Saka does the same thing. He can cut inside and score, and it's predictable. He's going to do it. But when a player like that wants to score a goal like that, you have to be a world-class defender to stop him. And what a finish as well, to go back across the keeper. A Harry Kane classic. Open your body up, go across the keeper, but then switch it back at the last minute and put it near post. Absolutely incredible. What a player.
Yeah, he has been class this season. And I think the ceiling is forever growing for him because I don't think he's going to reach it, not just yet anyway. But obviously there was a bit of controversy talking about anger Formz because there was a red card appeal. And there's been lots of kind of relations to last season where Romero got sent off in the same kind of fashion in the same game. So what did you kind of make of that appeal?
How they didn't send Caicedo off is criminal. It's criminal. I mean, granted, ours wasn't a lot. Romero's incident was a lot closer to the goal. It was, I was going to say a lot more rash, but I don't think it was. I think it was the same thing, just in a different area on the pitch. And what was it? They said it wasn't. What was the reason for not giving the red?
Not enough force.
Oh yeah, not enough force. How much more force do you need? It doesn't matter. I don't think it's the force. I think it's the intent with the action followed through, and you should get penalised for it. I don't even think he got booked, did he?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's just stupid. For me, it's not even a debate. It's a sending off. And you look at countless amounts of times that's happened in the Prem, not just the Romero incident against Chelsea. But you look at it countless amounts of times and it's given the majority of the time. I don't understand how they've looked at that and gone, yeah, nah, you're good. Keep playing, bro.
No, it's frustrating. And I think the thing is, obviously, that kind of term I spoke to you yesterday about, Jay, and how do you actually measure force through like a video being played?
I think the word force and the word intent need to be used a lot more. I think the problem with the Romero one, it looked like he wanted to kick him. I know the whole, but when Romero goes for a tackle, it looks like he's going to kick you, and that on a slow motion, because that was the thing we were saying, obviously with the Decky elbow as well, which we'll probably talk about later. But in slow motion, things always look worse. And they said it in commentary as well. I think Caicedo got lucky because he was also injured in the tackle. And that always, will play in the referee's mind, because obviously Lavia was coming across. Caicedo looked like a little bit of a cluster, the other word. It was just they kind of all went into each other. And then when you watched it in slow motion, you saw the challenge, which I would guess is why they didn't give it. But I also think it was a red card. I think it was more of a red card than the red card that Bruno Fernandes got against us. Because Bruno Fernandes, that was intentional, but it wasn't forceful. So where are we drawing that line? And I think that's what everyone has the problem with the officiating in this league, is everyone will come on these shows pro or against and not be able to have a consistent point, because every week you're having to change what you think, and then one week you'll find yourself contradicting yourself, because you'll say, oh, it was a definite red, and then it will happen next week and then it won't be a red, and it's like it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah,
I mean, if that was Sarr on Enzo, it wasn't a red. But
but exactly. But it is exactly that. It is, because those decisions go between teams every week, and there seems to be no consistency from refs. Fans are able to do that, you know, and are able to argue that, because there's no consistency, so we can just exploit the rule to our own gain, on Twitter, just to rile up other fans.
No, I think you're right. I think it's like you say, it's still a blurred line, and I don't know how we kind of fix it. Like you say, do we use those words more? Will the lines get even more blurred because people won't understand the difference? I don't know. It's a very difficult subject. I'm not saying that's the reason why we lost this game, but it definitely played into the mind. I mean, Moving on slightly, Formz. Obviously, there was another injury, and that was Johnson came off as well. And earlier today, I said obviously there was 2 points of ANGE that I was a bit confused about, and that was the fact that obviously Johnson came off, and we saw Werner on. Now, for me, I would have preferred Decky to come in the middle, go out wide, sorry, and put Maddison on. What was your kind of take of that sub, and obviously losing Johnson once again?
You know what? It's so hard because I try so much to like Timo Werner. And I think as a person, I'm sure he's great. But I think when you lose someone like Johnson, and I know what I'm about to say, I also kind of disagree with, but it's like a debate of, do you want pure pace, or do you want someone who can create something out of nothing? Now, it's almost like a no-brainer that you would go for someone who creates something out of nothing. But I think of recent, when Maddison has played in the middle and Kulusevski, and they've played, I don't like it, because I'm confused about what their roles are. And I understand why he made the sub. I don't necessarily agree with it because I think his in-game management is very poor. I would have probably rather have seen Maddison and then Decky gone out. But I'm not, I don't know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But when Timo Werner came on, what I'm trying to say is I wasn't mad at it, but I was expecting it to be Madders.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the thing, because with me, that was the one thing that kind of baffled me. I was like, hang on a minute, we know Decky can play out wide. He's playing quite well. So let's stick him out wide and let's bring on someone creative. I mean, Jay, what was your kind of take on obviously bringing Timo Werner on?
Well, exactly that, and I think I said yesterday, I jokingly said at the table, I said this could be the Bergwijn moment for Ange if he's not careful. You know, that substitution again, kind of like with Chelsea's goal. I looked up and I was like, it looks like Timo Werner's warming up. I did not expect that change. Because Son was on the pitch and Timo Werner can just about play on the left wing, let alone on the other side to where he normally plays. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely thought Maddison was going to come in. It was the logical choice. It was the choice that probably 99.9% of people thought it was going to be. And like you said, Kulusevski literally scored a goal from running from the right side across the Chelsea defence to score. That's going to be in the back of Chelsea's players' heads. Yeah. That's going to be in Kukureya's head. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so... And Maddison's come on and shown that he can have an impact and stuff in games when he comes off the bench. Because like Formz said, when they play together, it's very difficult, especially if they're both in the middle, it's absolute carnage. But when he's got that freedom, yeah, I don't know. It just honestly baffled me. And it was like 3 strikes and you're out. It was the when Chelsea scored, I was like, oh no. And then when I saw Timo Werner warming up, I was like, oh no. And it's just like, it just felt that it was heading in the wrong direction.
You've teed me up nicely there, because the third strike was obviously Basuma's head loss Formz. What did you make of obviously him deciding that he was absolutely going to kebab? Who was it? It was was it Palmer in the box?
It was Caicedo.
Caicedo in the box. I mean, what did you make of that?
The moment he made contact with the player, I looked at my sister, she looked at me, and we went, "Are you surprised?" Like, it's a big game. You got a point to prove. You're chasing momentum. And if there's 2 players you can rely on to make rash decisions in those moments, it's Basuma and Romero. And Romero wasn't on the pitch, so ding ding ding, it's Basuma. And I've seen videos of people from the South Stand who were filming down, and at the moment where you see Basuma start running, and even if he's 5 meters away from the player, you know what's about to happen. I'm not surprised. If that didn't happen, would we have gone on and changed the result? I don't think so. Was Basuma's post that he made earlier today being like, "It's my fault, I'm sorry"? Do I care that he did that? No. Do I think it was a bit of a Ponzi post? Yes. It was expected. It was expected in a game like this. That I'm more annoyed at the other pen than Basuma's, because he's going to do that every now and then. He did it more recently in the Europa League, did he not? And so, yeah, it was the other one, because Palmer was going absolutely nowhere. What are you doing?
I think that's the thing. Obviously, with the Basuma one, it's kind of like even with the angle, Jay, before he's even attempted to strike the ball and he's just come in and clattered him, you can see that he's not going to get anywhere from that angle. So it just blows my mind that he's like, yep, let's just take him out.
And that was the thing. So the people, like Formz said, the people from South Stand had a great view, but on the telly, you also saw Basuma make the run, and I was like, he's quite a distance away here. Even if he makes the run and stands on his feet, I think Caicedo's in on goal. I don't think Basuma gets there in time if he stays on his feet and Caicedo's in. Let alone if he decides to sprint across and slide from some distance. Yeah, it's just rash. We've seen that with Basuma though. He seems to be quite. He gives off a cool persona on the field. He wears his shorts like he's playing basketball, etc. He's a very cool guy on the field. But then also it just seems to have these rash moments of just like total head loss, where it reminds me a little bit like of Emerson Royale. Like it looks good on a compilation. Like a big massive slide across against the rival team. Like it's a big moment, and obviously he's forever famous for that moment against Arsenal, laughing as he's walking off the pitch. But the Sarr one, I'm 100% with Formz. That was just utterly stupid. And the thing was watching it, you saw it happen in slow motion, and you were just like, Palmer's going to win a pen here. Palmer's going to, do not tackle him, do not tackle him, do not tackle him. And Palmer went down really easy. And we were like, no, get out, get out. And then you watch it and you're like, actually, no, I'm not even going to defend this. I'm not even going to argue that it's not a pen. I'm not even going to argue that it's weak. It's just damn stupid and naive from a very good player. But I think that is, and I've seen a lot of people saying this, that is the underlying thing with this team. It just seems to be a little bit of naivety to game management and understanding situations, and getting caught up in the excitement of ANGE football, getting, all of this stuff. It seems like we don't have the ability to just put a calm head on and make rational decisions, and instead we make rash decisions.
No, spot on. And I think that's the thing, because Formz, obviously, like Jay said, Sarr is a brilliant player. And it's just what is going through your mind, mate, at this time, where you are on the pitch and who has the ball. Like, it blew my mind.
I think he just lacks that next level of maturity. But he's what, 20? Like he's already proved himself to be very reliable in terms of injecting the team with energy, and in terms of what he can do off the ball and on the ball. I really, really like him, and I think he's got a great future at Tottenham. But I think the next level of maturity is being able to make the right decisions in moments like that. If you had, even if you look back to like a Wanyama or a Dembele, back then, if they're behind Palmer, they're not making rash decisions. They're just making sure Palmer isn't facing goal. And as soon as he's out the box, if you want to go for it because you think you can get the ball, go for it. But don't do that. And it's just, it's so frustrating. But it's a prime example of the lack of mature decision makers we've got on the field, which then extends to, do we have any leaders on the pitch? Which then extends to, okay, now there's a whole load of problems. But yeah, it all comes down to experience, maturity, leadership, decision making, and I think Sarr will get there. But at the same time, because of our squad depth, because of how pivotal he's been in terms of like giving us a bit of an energy boost and being like a nice figure in the midfield, I think we've had no choice but to consistently play him in big games like this. So it's hard, but at the same time, just like do the right thing.
No, definitely. And I think that's the thing, because obviously talk about leaders, and obviously Jay, there's one player that obviously he scored in the 96th minute. It was a little bit too late by that time, and that is Son. Again, it was a good finish, but a little too late. But the thing is, lots of people are saying, is Son the right man for this job? Because a lot of Spurs players, going back to obviously Basuma, coming out and saying things after the game's finished on their social media, but is Son saying the same thing over and over again? Or do you think that's just too harsh to say that because he's been such a good servant to the club?
I think it's difficult. I never would look at Heung-min Son and go, he's a leader. I wouldn't. He's a nice guy. He's probably gets along well with all the team, which is a leadership quality. But I wouldn't look at him if I was 5-0 down, or if I was just conceded a penalty and I needed someone to, pull me through, I don't think I'd see Son in that way. And then again, I also don't like leadership groups. I think there should be a captain, and then if the captain doesn't play, there should be someone that just takes the captain's armband for the game. I don't like the dynamic of having Romero, Maddison, and Son. Obviously, Son's the captain, but also we know that if Son doesn't start, Romero has it, and then if Romero doesn't have it, Maddison has it. But then sometimes Maddison will have it when Romero. Do you know? It just doesn't resonate with me. I think we need a leader in the team. I think we need someone consistent. I think it's crazy to I think Decky is probably the player I look to. If I was a player, I would find inspiration seeing play, and I could very much imagine him. His celebration kind of proved that when he scored the goal. It seems like Son's tailing off, and he's not a bad player. I don't think that we should get rid of him now. I don't think it's like, he shouldn't play anymore. I'm not saying that. I'm not stupid. I'm just saying I think it is a little bit of sentimentality. But that, yesterday I watched the entire Antonio Conte press conference after the Southampton game, and all I could think of was there's a lot of players in that team, and Son is one of them from that bygone era, from that era of the players are bigger than the club. And yeah, I just don't think I see him and see someone that's going to pull us through.
I think that is also the consensus of, I can't speak for everyone, but after seeing what Romero put out today, Formz, obviously talking about, I have it here about, the truth is, I would say no comment, but Manchester City competes every year. You see how Liverpool strengthens its squad. Chelsea strengthens their squad. If one doesn't do well, the strengthens again, and then you're seeing results. And then obviously he's saying the last few years it's always been the same people, and then we need to realise obviously what's going on. And I think going back to obviously Romero being part of that kind of captaincy and leader kind of group, he's coming out and saying something that I don't think I've heard a player of a current squad at Spurs say that out loud, sort of thing. Does that kind of resonate with you in the sense that actually, yeah, okay, I'm happy he's come out and said that, all things change? How do you kind of see what he said?
I never thought I'd hear a player publicly come for Daniel Levy. So he either really wants to do well at Tottenham or he's eyeing up a move out the club. Like it's one or the other. And I think Son aside, because Son, I wouldn't necessarily say is that vocal leader on the pitch, but what he used to be able to do with in terms of his technical ability and his pace and the areas that he got into and him finishing, that was enough to influence and inspire everyone around him. And that's, I think, why he's such a good leader for South Korea, because he is by far the best player they'll ever have. But Son aside, I don't think we've got leaders, we've got egos. And that's a problem, because then you look at the likes of Romero who think that they, because a statement like that is saying I'm bigger than the club. And I don't care what you say. That is my, when you come out and publicly go, right, the board need to sign better players because I want to play with players that are going to win titles. That's me saying, I'm too big to be here, sort it or I'm out. And I think I like it because, not even I like it, I love it because it means you've got winning ambitions. And I don't think that many players in our squad have got those as much as Romero does, because he's won the World Cup with Messi, etc., etc. But I think that first of all, he's right. But when I say we don't have leaders, we've got egos, it can be damaging, because when you do think you're too good to play for the club, and then you're playing with players like Brennan Johnson and you're playing with players like Sarr who just want to play football and get better and improve, I might not be the best on the pitch. Well, they're going to look at Romero and go, well, hang on, why can't I have that ego? They're like influenced players. You're looking up at someone who is part of this leadership group or this ego group that we've got, and they're meant to be inspiring the rest of them and influencing the rest of them. And then they're probably just going to follow in those footsteps. And then we get a toxic dressing room, and then everyone hates each other, and then that's it. And I know that was a bit of a far stretch and a spiral, but it's coming from a place of ego, which I like if it's handled in the correct way. Like if Romero was to pull the players he feels closest to aside and goes, look, this is where I'm at. I don't want to do this alone. I think if we all did it, it would make not only a statement, but they'd kind of have no choice to make some changes around here instead of going out and doing it on his own. I think that might have been different. But in a nutshell, because I waffle, I like it. I just think maybe it wasn't thought through the way that it needed to be thought through.
No, I mean, that is a great shout, because when you think of it, obviously, it's great that he's spoken out about, obviously, the hierarchy and Daniel Levy. Again, it's almost like you said, okay, if you don't do something, well, I'm going off anyway. I've told you what I thought. Obviously, the fact he's done that publicly, fair enough. Again, not seen a player do it before. I mean, Jay, what's your kind of stance? Because I kind of get what Formz is saying. I'm also like, actually, let's just say it how it is to them lot at the top, because otherwise they're never going to listen.
World Cup winner is a big thing. I said this when Hugo was here. World Cup winner is a big thing. Whether you're the best player in that team or whether you're not, it takes a certain mentality and a certain player to be part of a squad that can win a World Cup. And you hear the way that Messi speaks about Romero. The only downside with Romero is also how much the injuries seem to come when it's Argentina time, which is, but this is the what I think what Formz is alluded to, maybe about like with the double-edged sword of having that ego, is Romero can't afford to not be fit for Argentina, because if he's not fit for Argentina, there will be someone better, there'll be someone younger who will come in, play well, and take his place. Because that is the competitive nature of international football. And I think that is kind of what he's saying, even if he's not saying, you can say about club football and international football. If Romero and Van der Ven, this weekend proved it. Romero and Van der Ven have just come back from injury and they're both in the starting 11. The squad should be competitive enough that Dragusin should be going, whoa, wait a minute. He should be in the manager's office the day before the game. Right, what's the plan for tomorrow? If I'm not starting, why? Do you know what I mean? But I don't think we have that in the squad. I don't think we have those players. I think Romero, sadly, is going to get very frustrated with this squad because of the age of it, because of the experience of it, because, we don't have a team of winners again. I think he's talking, I like what he's saying, because if you look at the squads that Daniel Levy builds, because it's him that has the final say on the checks, you don't see a lot of winners, and winners say their opinions, and winners have problems, and winners will do what is uncomfortable to get what they want, which is to win. And I think Romero is doing exactly that. He's had enough. He's said what he said. I don't think anyone disagrees with what he says. But it's just funny because, we've gone from managers saying it to fans saying it to now one of the vice captains of the team saying it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll talk about it in a sec. But I sadly don't think that will change anything.
No, because obviously that kind of leads on to the other thing that's been going at the moment with the cloud over Spurs, and whether you're ANGE in or ANGE out. And I don't want to get into a full debate about it, but obviously after hearing what Romero said, the fact that the players are fully behind ANGE, Formz, what's your kind of take on it? Do you see that it's higher up? We're always going to have the same problem. It's not necessarily ANGE, but guess what? We've got Tottenham back in terms of that high-paced playing football again.
I mean, first of all, I'm ANGE in. Mainly because when it works, it works. And I'm not going to keep blaming it on injuries because, as you know, you can, but I'm not going to keep blaming it on injuries because he has brought in young players who he wants to mold into his philosophy. They haven't necessarily had enough time to be able to do that yet. So I get why some of the results have been the way that they've been. The main reason I'm ANGE in is because I'm fortunate enough to do some work with the club. And I've been to the training ground and I've spoken to some of the players, and I can't name them just in case, but like they're all so complimentary of ANGE. And I was speaking to one player, and this was my favorite thing. We sat down, no cameras, and I just went, right, off camera, you've been at Spurs, you've played under quite a few managers. Who's been your favorite? And he goes, it's not even a question, it's the current one. And I went, why? Like, what is so different about ANGE? And he said, we're in an era of we're in an era of football systems, and you have to have one specific role within a system, and that's it, or one specific thing that you're required to do, and there's no real freedom. He said with Ange, yes, he's got his system, you have to be a football manager, but we're able to be who we are and play the way that we wanted to play when we were 6 years old in our back garden within the system. And he said that's why sometimes you'll see a younger player come in, because they've still got that spark in them. They haven't been, in his words, ruined by Pep Guardiola football. And he actually turned around and said, even if Man City came in and offered the world, he'd never play under Pep Guardiola for that reason. I'll tell you who the player is off camera, but he was so complimentary. And I said, is that like a feeling around the squad? And he went, yeah, it's all of us, because we're allowed to be who we want to be. Now, thinking about it and looking at the way that we've been playing over the past couple of weeks, months, it's nice when you're a player, but when you're a fan who wants results, you need to kind of be guided into. So it's really nice that we can be free and let the players be who they want to be. But if that's what you want to do, bring in players who have had that much experience that when they play with the freedom that they want to play with, they know how to do it properly. It's such a weird position to be in. But I'm Anjin, and for the first ever time, genuinely, I've been but for the first ever time, I'm gonna just like come out and say I'm fully Levy out, because it's just, bro, give the managers what they want. If they're asking for young players and that aligns with the philosophy of the club, cool, buy young players, but don't just buy young players. Solanke, cool, that's one player. I know he costs 60 million. Spend another 60 million on an older, more proven player, and then bring in 3 youngsters. Don't give me one older player who's had one good season and then give me a bunch of teenagers. I don't want it. And I'm pretty sure if you're a manager of a football club, you don't want that either. So it does come down to the higher ups. And then it stems from what Jay said. You've had managers say it. You've had, I guess, coaches say it. Now you've had players say it. Like, it's one man that's an issue, and it's Mr. Micromanager himself. And I was such a fan of the way he does business. But now it's just gone on too long. We've seen too many managers. We've seen too much failed success. Just sell the club, broski. Cash in. Go retire in the Bahamas. I don't care what you do with it. Sell.
No, I'm with you. I'm exactly the same. I think it's got to a point now where, Jay, I want to see your opinion as well in terms of how you're kind of feeling with it. It's just like, enough is enough, mate. Come on.
I'm Anjin still, only because I don't see a better alternative. I've seen Graham Potter compilations, I've seen Thomas Frank compilations. You see all the compilations come out when we start losing. I think, you're looking at Graham Potter, quite a few of those players that played yesterday played under Graham Potter, and they look like a totally different team. Obviously, there's quite a few, there's one big difference, and that's Cole Palmer. But some of the squad are pretty much the same as what Graham Potter had. So yeah, okay, cool. Well, they didn't do that to us, and with the ownership situation, I think the only way I think it changes is, and the only plea would be that Daniel Levy has always claimed that he wants to protect this club, he wants to future-proof this club, but going to use that classic saying that has been used a lot recently is, leave football before football leaves you. He's built this club, he's left a legacy, he's made a club that will be able to sustain itself, and it doesn't have to be a trial by fire, it doesn't have to be protests. I've always had gripe with other channels and the way people have spoken about the club and stuff, and at this stage now, at what point is Daniel Levy doing this to himself, and at what point can you stop criticizing people and going, oh, you're only moaning for moaning's sake, and that's called admitting you're wrong, which is something a lot of people struggle with. But that's the thing, it is that he needs to realize that what he's set out to do, the objectives he's set to make, the way that he's decided, right, the club's going to be future-proofed. We've got this income from all these, we've got an incredible stadium where we can have events and the go-karting and the skywalk and all this amazing stuff. But that was his goal. He's done that. And like, Romero's saying about maybe within the squad, but also higher ups, that's not changed. And the managers and the players have changed and the outcomes are still the same. So at what point does Daniel Levy sit down and go, this is it? But again, business people don't like to go out on a on a sour note. You like to go out when your stock's high. It wouldn't shock me if Daniel Levy won the League Cup and then sold the day after.
That's literally what I was about to say. But he won't. But if we do win the League Cup this season, my God, he better have someone in place to go, cool, I've done it. It's my legacy. Here's your 2 trophies. Thanks, Spurs fans. I'm cashing in. Please. Go. Oh.
It is, yeah. I think that's the thing. I think we've all got to the point. I know not everybody is still ANGing, but there's one constant, and that is those higher ups, and they're still there. Everything else changes.
Funnily enough, I'm so glad that I just reminded myself of this. I saw an article from the year 2000. Anyone know what I'm about to talk about?
Is it like the thing that he released in that magazine? Is that I saw that?
No. So when ENIC took over, Thursday, 21st of December 2000. So ENIC also owned AEK Athens at the time. I don't know if they still do. I hope not after this article. Tottenham fans have been, bear in mind this is in 2000. Tottenham fans have been warned not to expect a significant investment in the team from their new owners by the chairman of AEK Athens, which ENIC have already backed. AEK's chairman today revealed his belief that the investment of ENIC in Tottenham does not bode well for Tottenham supporters. Their investments in football clubs failed with the exception of Vincenza, or whatever, thanks to an exceptionally clever manager and all largely because of an inability or unwillingness to fund in accordance with their stakes. Good luck, Spurs fans. You're in for a ride. 2000!
That's mad.
What?
Oh my God. That is crazy. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, we were warned.
The Lamella transfer makes a lot more sense now because that's where he went to AEK.
Long
That's
day.
mad. I mean, it's going to be even longer because obviously we've got still the Christmas break to kind of fire through. And obviously Rangers on Thursday will be an interesting one with more injuries, more rotation. But the big one for me, Formz, because obviously I'm from Southampton and I have to beat Southampton. We can't lose to Southampton, can we? Because they are so bad.
I mean, we shouldn't lose to Southampton. And then someone sends me, it's going to be back to front, but someone sends me that. All of the results, then Tottenham. So, I mean, look, the way that they play suits us. So on paper, we should batter them. This isn't paper. This is Tottenham. So we'll see. I mean, look, I think they're probably going to fancy their chances because they'll look at Bournemouth and they'll look at Fulham and they'll look at teams who we probably should have beaten, and they'll go, hang on, well, we're playing at home, we'll get the fans behind us, we fancy them. But I think that might go against them. I think they really do play into our hands, and we can hit them on 1,000,001 different breaks. We just need the ability to put the ball in the back of the net. I have a feeling that Johnson won't I don't know, I have a feeling Johnson won't play and it's worse than we think, so it might be a Timo Werner situation, because he clearly doesn't like playing James Maddison anymore. But we'll see. I really hope we do it because, we need a win. I'm not confident. I was meant to go to Rangers. I'm not going to Rangers because the football's going to be poo and the weather's going to be poo. So I'm not going anymore. Yeah, that's my piece. I'm going to let someone else talk.
I'm going to hand it over to Jay because obviously it's a weird one as well. It's a really late kickoff on a Sunday. Too. So what did you kind of make? Obviously, we'll move aside from the Rangers game. We'll go straight to Southampton one. What are you kind of feeling for that one?
Well, definitely going to dox myself here, but we have to beat the Scummers. Have to. I think. Yeah, I had the picture of Johnny Sins in the doctor outfit in my head the minute you showed me that. show me that picture. It was just, yeah, it is a game that, again, like Form said, we should win, which therefore means we probably won't. Yeah, it's a game that we have to win. The thing is, as well, from Ange's perspective and from the team's perspective, a win on Thursday, a win Sunday, equal win against United in the Cup. We go into a home tie against Liverpool, a home game against Liverpool, brimming with confidence. And I think these 3 games, but again, every time the words leave my mouth talking about positivity and excitement and wanting to head in the right direction, I have to remember what football club I support, and remind myself that that is a very ideal scenario, and we could very easily go to St Mary's and lose, and then we could lose to Rangers in the week, then not even lose to Southampton. I think a draw against Southampton would raise serious questions, especially within, I would say, no longer a minority, but maybe a 50-50 split of the fan base on where they are on Ange and the team. Losing to Chelsea wouldn't have been bad if we'd have beaten Bournemouth and beaten Fulham.
And we didn't score 2 goals first.
Yeah, exactly that. We show that we can do this, and I think that's the frustration. We show that we can do it, but yeah, losing to Saints
I'm
definitely
very, very, very prepared to sack the league off and just absolutely hammer it for a cup run. And even if we don't win a cup, I don't really care. No, I do. I would honestly kick a small child for a trophy, but I don't care. We can finish 13th and win a Carabao Cup. Happy with that. Reasons being, 1, we finally get a trophy. I don't care what trophy is. Oh, it doesn't count as a Carabao Cup. Shut up. I'd actually kick 2 small children for that trophy. I'd watch them go flying. Anyways, and the second reason is we won't have European football next year, so we have a little bit more time to focus and build domestically. Am I saying that if we don't have European football, we're going to finish top 4? Absolutely not. But that's when the project can really begin, because you then get players that have won something wearing your colours, and then you can start pushing. But it's so much easier said than done. All I'm saying is, if we don't get anywhere in the league, but I'm seeing my club do everything they can in the cups, then I think I'd be okay with that. It's just if we finish 12th and we get knocked out of the quarters of the Carabao and we get knocked out of the first knockout stage of the Europa League, and then by some miracle we lose to Tranmere or wherever the hell we're playing, like that. Who are we playing?
Tamworth.
Exactly. It doesn't even matter at this point. Then I'd be pissed. But let me dream.
I was about to say that is, all of these games are irrelevant, because all I'm thinking about is the 12th of January, because I am absolutely, it would be the ultimate Spursy thing. It would be, when Marine hit the crossbar and it went over Joe Hart's head, and you just thought, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
I can't do this with this club. I'm absolutely terrified. If we go into that game not in a run of form, it could be the most Spursy moment ever.
I think that's the thing. Like, obviously, again, it's as much as I want to win a trophy, regardless how much it takes. I don't care. It's just whether them at the top are going to have the bottle to keep Ange long term if results start going sour. Again, obviously, that one against Southampton, I think, is massive in terms of obviously where they are league position, in terms of what we're doing at the moment. And like Jay said, those string of games where we've lost now to games that we potentially were in the driving seat for, it's going to raise some big eyebrows. Obviously, I hope that's not the case. I hope that we do keep him in. I think we're all under the agreement that it's Ange and it's those up the top that are causing this problem every time we have a new manager. But hey ho, life as a Spurs fan, it's never dull. But it's been amazing tonight to kind of go over that loss. I say amazing. It has been good therapy to go over that loss against Chelsea, and obviously look ahead with everything else that's going on at the club. So we'll go around the table, say our goodbyes. So once again, Formz, it's been amazing to have you on again. Where can everybody find you if they don't know already?
If you fancy listening to some nice music, just type in Formz anyway. You listen to music, and if you want to see me spit some bars about football, Formula One, anything, just type in my name in anywhere, and you'll see my face pop up.
Lovely, lovely. No, like I say, Formz, it was good to have you on. And Jay as well. Like I say, you've been class the last couple of weeks, so thank you. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at J. Oh God, I've forgotten my Twitter now. I've changed it. J.Johnson26. If you want my Spurs opinions, but for all content side, it's at JJ Season on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Currently playing UFL, which is the greatest thing ever. So yeah, if you want to see me play that, head over to my Twitch. Cheers.
Oh, thank you, Jay. And like I say, thank you to everybody else that's been watching the show. If you're rewatching this, if you're watching this later on, thank you very much. Like I say, the Hotspur Huddle will be back Wednesday, where it'll be a full house this week. Wes Nelson and myself will actually be on the show this time, so it should be good fun. And then obviously next Monday, we'll be dissecting the Southampton game that hopefully we will win. But like I say, like we always say on this show, until next time, come on, you Spurs.